Hey guys, Toby from Deadlift Fitness. Alright, so today what I want to talk about is something special and something that I've found that's really worked for myself and some of my clients I'm talking about not deadlifting, okay? So this might be against the grain a little bit. So when people actually deadlift, like, I understand that it's good for conditioning, it's good for overall strength and overall muscle growth, and it's really good for your posterior chain. But the thing is, some people just can't deadlift, even if they're setting up in a conventional sumo stance. It's not always practical. A bit like myself, I have a bulging L4 and L5 lumbar disc, so that kind of gives me a sciatica and all that kind of stuff. Though I still do a small amount of deadlift work, but it's just to maintain my current strength, and I'm just currently testing out like where my limit is on like my bulges and that kind of stuff. But besides the point, what I want to talk about is how you can still make ridiculously good muscle growth and strength gains at the same time. So the two exercises I'm talking about is breaking the deadlift up into two separate movements. Or you actually don't do one of the movements, you do half of it, okay? So I'm talking about above the knee rack pull. So when you do a deadlift, obviously you're lifting the bar from the knee, you're lifting the bar from the ground all the way up roughly to like your waistline. So you're going from, it's kind of like a seated position to standing up like this. You always said that you would go ahead and do what you wanted. So we're not doing that. So we're talking about above the knee rack pulls. So this, I'm just going to demonstrate an above the knee rack pull, which is this here. We can make a move if you want it. So the thing about above the knee rack pull and shrug is that you're actually pulling the weight and you're shrugging it. So this is going to improve your grip strength. It's going to blow up your traps. So it's going to blow up your upper trapezius, mid and lower trapezius, rhomboids, and it's actually going to work your posterior delts as well, and overall strength. A lot of people just don't understand this, that it is one of the best exercises to blow up your upper back. And the thing is, because it's such a small movement and you have to lift very, very heavy to achieve any sort of growth, it's actually going to improve your posterior chain and your grip strength and what you can actually deadlift. So doing this exercise is going to help you deadlift. And the second exercise I want to talk about is this one here. Stiff-legged deadlift or Romanian deadlift. So basically just bending down stiff legs, just like I showed before. So with that exercise, the main primary focus is having a straight back, so working your posterior chain, not lifting as much you would be able to deadlift, but you're still lifting quite heavy, and the main emphasis of the stretch is on the hamstring. So the thing about fitness is, like, once you get good at a lift and then you kind of plateau, you have to break a lift down. You see this a lot in Olympic lifting and powerlifting as well. So if you're really good at the deadlift and you're kind of stagnating, they're not improving their actual lift numbers, they'll break the lift down. They'll do complexes, they'll do rack pulls, they'll just do like ground pulls, and they'll do mid work. So the mid work is below the knee rack pull. So you're breaking down the complexes of the exercise, and you got to understand that a deadlift's a full body movement. So you have to break that down to smaller movements, work on those. You have to work on those, identify the areas in which you're weak on, and then once you work on those, obviously you're going to get stronger, and then those overall numbers are going to improve your deadlift. So you'll see this in like Olympic lifting. So in like your clean and jerk, you'll see they'll do clean, like just clean and press. So they'll just do press work, so just pressing from there. They'll do above the knee clean, a power clean, sorry. Like, they'll break absolutely everything down. You can check out, there's a lot of CrossFit channels on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Just type in like clean and jerk complexes, and they'll break each movement down. So you practice each movement, you get good at each movement, and then you combine all the movements together, and then you complete the full movement, like the clean and jerk. So I think there's like 4 or 5 complexes to a clean and jerk. But besides that, we're going to talk about the rack pull. So the rack pull can be below the knee, at the knee, or above the knee. So rack pull and shrug, that's what I'm talking about here. So the idea is to blow up the lower back. The idea is to blow up the upper back, blow up the traps. So you want to get big traps. You're gonna have, generally if you got big traps, you got like a large amount of grip strength, and you got to be bloody strong. Okay, so the idea is to improve your physique and increase the numbers on those compound exercises I'm talking about, deadlifts. So you can do the above the knee rack pull, or you can do the rack, pull and shrug with a couple of different setups. You can do it above the knee, below the knee, or at the knee, and you can do it in a clean stance, or you can do it in a snatch stance. So basically you just widen your grip on how you hold the bar. Generally, if you're holding the bar wider, it's going to be harder to lift. Movements are alternatives to actual deadlifting, so these are really close to my heart. Here is a demonstration of the above the knee rack pull. So you've got there a clean stance and a snatch stance. So basically I'm just talking about my hand grips here. So obviously hands are wide, it's gonna be hard to lift. You bring your hands in, so mix it around, throw them in your sessions once or twice a week. And the thing about this is, with the above the knee rack pull and shrug, you really have to be lifting heavy. Like there's no word of lie. If you want your traps to grow, you have to give yourself a massive stimulus. You want to be lifting close to 1 rep max. So, or even at your 1 rep max for the above the knee rack pull. So you want to provide some sort of stimulus for overload. So that can be progressive overload, or just basically overloading like 110%, maybe with straps. So wrist straps if your grip strength is failing, and then this stretch, this overloading stretch on your traps may leave DOMs there for a couple of days, but your body will adapt to that and you'll get better at that as the week's gone. The same goes for the hamstrings. So with the RDLs or stiff leg deadlifts, I would generally stick around. I wouldn't do 1 rep maxes for that, because you don't want to tear a hammy or anything like that. I'd hang around that 5 to 15 rep range. Try going a little bit. Try that lower scheme around the 5 reps, but personally I recommend staying around the 8 to 12 rep range and focusing on the stretch, going down slow and powering up and coming up fast. There's not really much more to these topics, so if you still want to get the same progress that you could get out of a deadlift and even more, do the rack pull and shrugs and do the RDLs. These 2 movements here, you don't even have to deadlift if you do these 2 movements, because they're so great at producing strength and muscle growth. Obviously muscle byproduct strength, the adapting figure to that is volume. So if you're doing it once or twice a week with frequency, you're going to expect some serious gains. All right guys, I hope you've enjoyed episode 6 of the Dad Bod Project. If you have any comments or anything like that, like, share, subscribe, comment, everything. All right, this is what keeps me going. I'll see you in the next vid.